Hi, everyone. The novel I'm going to introduce today has a gripping plot. Jerome is engaged to Mabel, but fate brings him together with Erica. Erica, unable to control her feelings, takes Jerome to her pack. Jerome, stricken with guilt, tries to resist Erica but can't deny the pull she has on him. Meanwhile, Mabel is desperate to reach Jerome, and Erica's parents are concerned about her obsession. How will Jerome resolve this tangled situation? Will Erica's love triumph? Let's uncover the story together. Chapter 9, Confused Jerome. The weight of Erica's parents' words hung heavy in the air, and I, the unnamed narrator, felt a crushing wave of guilt wash over me. As a member of our supernatural pack, I should have known better than to toy with the emotions of my mate. I had foolishly believed that Erica would react like others in our world, rejecting me outright when faced with the truth of my conflicted heart. My plan had backfired spectacularly. I had hoped for her rejection, but instead, I had inflicted deep wounds upon her loyal heart. The memory of professing my love to Mabel and then asking her to reject me now felt like a cruel joke. My wolf, usually so certain and dominant, whimpered with remorse within me. The love I once felt for Mabel still lingered, a ghost of emotion that refused to fade entirely. Yet as I lay there, listening to the concerned voices of Erica's parents, I questioned whether that love still held any true power over me. I realized that clinging to those past feelings would only lead to more pain and confusion for everyone involved. A pang of jealousy shot through me at the thought of Mabel moving on, giving other potential mates a chance. But I quickly admonished myself, recognizing the hypocrisy of such thoughts. After all, hadn't I done the same to Erica? My mind was a battlefield, torn between the urge to flee the pack and seek out Mabel, and the instinct to stay and honor the bond with my true mate. The revelation that Erica cried after arguments with her parents, especially the recent one caused by my actions, only intensified my guilt. My wolf howled mournfully within me, sensing the pain we had caused our mate. As I lay there, feigning unconsciousness but acutely aware of every word exchanged between Erica and her parents, I was overcome with remorse. The realization of how much suffering I had inflicted upon Erica, simply because I had wanted to reject her despite her peaceful intentions, filled me with self-loathing. My wolf and I were united in our shame, recognizing the damage we had done to the very person we were meant to protect and cherish. I knew that she was ready to let me go, even though she didn't want me to. I knew that leaving the pack would only do more damage to her. I now knew the reason behind her irrational behavior with me. I knew she brought me here when I fainted in the cold room, but I don't want to think of that. I had thought that her doing all that was to make sure I don't die so I can do things she wants me to do. I thought she was just as the people had portrayed her. I thought she was as arrogant toward people as she is toward me. I thought she was a rooted alpha who only wanted her wish to come true. I had to try standing up to tell them I was aware of all that was happening and that I was at fault for everything. I want to tell them that I tried to rectify my mistakes but couldn't. I don't like the idea of leaving her, even though I have always wanted to do so. I knew that if it was the moment I arrived here that I was asked to leave, then I'd do so immediately. But now that has changed. I don't want to be apart from her. I could hear her whispers even though they were inaudible when I was asleep. I knew she was keeping watch on me, just like she had said to her parents. It's morning now, and am now able to move my body. My eyes were sore, and I rubbed my fingers gently over them. I looked around and noticed that Erica was still sleeping peacefully with her head on the bed. I stood up, and I carefully placed her head on my lap. I stared at her sleeping figure, and I couldn't help but feel more attracted to her. I knew that my absence from Mabel would make things hard for the burning passion I had for her to keep increasing. I knew that the person I'm close to is the person my heart would get attracted to. I knew that it would be unfair if I let Mabel go and accepted Erica. I was confused about what to do. I knew that whatever I did would greatly affect one of them. I knew what Mabel and Erica can do whenever they are angry. I knew that Erica would keep on venting her anger on anything around her. I was so lost in thought that I don't know when I took my hand to her hair. I started stroking her hair without knowing. It felt silky, and I got carried away by it. I felt her trying to lift her head up, and before I knew it, she raised her head, and her head hit my stomach really hard. "What the hell is this?" I heard her yell as she stood up from the bed. I felt my hand drop from her hair. She looked at me with a hard glare on her face. I felt a cold chill of fear run down my spine. I was thinking straight when I took her head on my lap. And not only that, I started stroking her hair. I didn't think of the consequences of her catching me in the act. "Good morning," I greeted timidly, knowing that she was happy with what I had done, and I knew she had every right to be. I knew what she was trying to do, get over me, which I don't want to happen. I don't want to be apart from her, and I knew that if I have to keep on pretending that I'm sick to be here, it'll keep on doing that. I'm confused about what to do. I don't know what to do or say. I felt my mouth get heavy trying to talk. I don't know if I should stay here or leave. "What's good about the morning?" "Hun, who gave you the right to place my head on your lap? It seems like I'm lenient towards you. I know what to do to you. I will lock you up in the cold room again. And this time I won't let you go even if you are to die in there," she said coldly, with a mean look on her face. I knew she didn't mean what she said, but I have a feeling that she would do that again if she were to be made angry. "I'm sorry. I don't mean to, but I thought you were Mabel because that's how she usually lays her head on my lap," I said, hoping that what I said would not let her think of anything. I knew she would be confused about why I'm stroking her hair, and I don't want her to think that I'm having feelings for her. I don't want her to think so. I don't want to have anything to do with her, nor do I want to leave her. I knew that she might get angry with what I just said, but I have no way to divert her attention. "Do I look like Mabel to you? You should get well and leave this room. You aren't needed here. I'm sorry for what I've done to you while you've been here, but I want you to know that you can leave when your health has improved. I don't want you lingering on my porch. I don't want to hurt you anymore, and all I want from you is to distance yourself from me," she said, and before I could say anything, she left the room. I was left speechless, not knowing what to do. I knew she was the one that had always wanted to be with me, but I doubt if that is possible. I doubt if she would still want to be with me. I knew that what I had said and how all my behavior had portrayed me had made her want me to be someone else. I was happy with the way she behaved, but I knew that she had made up her mind. And with the look of things, I knew that she wouldn't want to change her mind. "Good morning," I greeted Eric as parents, who had just arrived. "Morning, son. How are you doing?" Steve and Eric as father said something, and I smiled at him. "I'm doing just fine. What is wrong with your daughter? She doesn't seem to be happy. What is the matter with her?" I asked worriedly while staring at them. I don't want them to know I'm worried about her. I don't want them to know that I'm worried, because I don't want them to find out I heard everything they said yesterday. "She is." Stephen was saying this when Caitlin Eric's mother cut in. "Nothing, she is just having mood swings," Caitlin said, cutting Stephen off. I knew for a fact that I had to act like I was still sick for a while to know what to do. I knew that I had to be sure of what I wanted to do before I could do anything. I knew that I would miss Mabel greatly, but I needed to know what to do. I need to know the best decision I can make. I knew that things wouldn't be as good as I wanted them to be. I knew that being confused wouldn't help matters, but there is nothing I can do to stop that. Chapter 10, Wanting My Mate Erica. My heart felt like it had been pierced by millions of sores that are laced with wolf stain. I couldn't bear to see my friend say to my face thinks I'm someone else. I felt sad knowing that my own mate doesn't recognize me but instead thinks that I'm somebody else, but not anybody but the person he said he loves. I don't know whose partner had the guts to tell them to their face that they loved someone else and that their partner looked like the person they loved. My heart was in good shape, and I knew if I didn't take care of it, I might break down. I knew for a fact that my partner is in love with someone else, and it hurt me to know that, but that's the absolute truth that can't be changed. I knew that being an alpha, I might be able to hold it, but this is different. I wasn't able to hold it. I knew that I had no strength in me to withstand the fact that my partner thinks I'm not the person I am but another person. I feel hurt knowing that my mate loves someone else and also told me he hated me. I had thought that he was stroking my hair because he wanted to, But I wasn't happy after knowing that he thought I was someone else. I was heartbroken, but I knew there was nothing I could do about it. I knew that there was nothing I could do to make him love me. I knew that forcing myself on him wasn't appropriate and would make me look cheap, which I don't want. It might look like him begging him to accept me. I don't want things that would look like him forcing myself to make him love me. If he is destined to be mine, he will be. But I knew for a fact that he was destined to be Mabel-less. I knew that I might not be happy seeing him with another person, but I knew that him being happy is enough. Victoria, can we meet in the garden? I said through the mind link, and she laughed. It seems like I already knew you would be coming. And not only that I'm here with my mate. He just went to the office, he has some things to attend to. There are some junks here that we can eat. Victoria replied, and I cut the mind link. I was glad that things worked out for me. It was a gift from the moon goddess. I was glad that the things that we need are already there. It was as if we wanted to make preparations for a picnic. I knew that the both of them had planned the picnic and had probably gone through with everything before Samuel left. I felt jealous knowing that my mate wasn't in support of me being his mate, and I doubt if we will plan a picnic one day. I knew that my mate wouldn't want a date with me, let alone talk about planning a picnic for the both of us. Good morning, Alpha. Victoria greeted me immediately. She set her eyes on me, and I offered her a smile before replying to her greeting. Morning, Victoria, I replied. I knew we might be friends, but she has never once tried to call me by my name unless necessary. She had it in her blood to always respect those who were superior to her.
It is earlier. What's up with you and your mate?
I thought you always scheduled your dates and picnics at night. But why is today different? I asked as I stared at her with a clueless look on my face. It's because HE's been busy lately. She replied. Why do you want to see me? She asked after a while of silence, and I huffed heavily while staring at her. I knew I had to say everything that has been bothering me to someone, but I doubt if that would be possible. I knew that I had no one in this pack that I trusted so much to relay my plights except Victoria, who is my best friend. She is the only one who won't make fun of me because she is a well-respected person, and she loves respecting people. She always makes sure that she doesn't make fun of others. It's my mate. I started, and she sighed while looking at me attentively. He isn't as I have thought he would be. He stroked my hair, and when I woke up he told me that I resembles the girl he loves. It hurt me to know he is in love with another person, but seeing the way he was always behaved I thought otherwise, but I knew that what I won't happen even in my wildest dream. I knew for a fact that none of my wish to be his would come to pass, I said in one breath, and she sighed heavily with her eyes shimmering with affections. I knew for a fact that she knew how I was feeling just by putting herself in my position. I'm glad I have someone like her who is caring. I'm glad that I have someone like her in my pack. I knew she would make a great female beta. I know that you are feeling hurt, but I'll advise you not to let your emotions cloud your judgment. I won't want you to make mistakes that you might regret late in the game. I want you to be as calm as possible when dealing with your friend, she said with a pause, and I smiled at her. You should act like you aren't concerned about him for now, and make sure you react less whenever he says something. He will know that what he said hurt you as time goes on, and that can only happen if you act less concerned. He will figure all this out himself, she said, and I nodded my head. I was trying all I have in me not to cry out here. I knew that if I do then I might be seen by one of the pack members. Thanks for your advice. I'll stick to it, I said, and she offered me a smile. Aren't you going to eat? Victoria asked as she ate the snack she threw into her mouth. I smiled at her and we both started eating. We ate in silence and we were almost done when we heard the sound of someone coming towards us. Good afternoon. Alpha, I heard a voice said. I knew instantly that it was that of Samuel. Good afternoon. Wait, is it afternoon already? I asked and he nodded. My eyes went round with shock. I couldn't believe what he had said. I looked at my wristwatch and it turned out that it's afternoon already. Yes, it is. We spent so much time talking and eating that we forget to check time, Victoria said, and I smiled at her. They'll have it to steal my mate from you. We need to do something, Samuel said as he stared at her with a naughty smile. I couldn't help but feel jealous of her. I knew she was happy with her mate and I wasn't. I now know the need for a mate. I don't know what or how it is to have a mate before, but now I do. I feel hurt to know that I couldn't do anything to stop that from happening. Aren't you supposed to be at the office? You said you will be quite busy today. Victoria asked, and he smiled at her. All this while I was busy watching them play, and I couldn't help but be wowed at their love display. I felt jealous of her every moment because I had always wanted this, but my mate doesn't want it to happen. I have a surprise for you, and that's what I had been preparing, Samuel said, and I can't but smile at that. We will leave now, Alpha Samuel said, and they left me. I stared at the both of them as they walked away from the garden. I stared at them until they were out of sight, my eyes never leaving the spot I last saw them. I stared around the garden with a sad smile on my face. It was night already and I had my dinner. I tried sleeping, but I couldn't. All that was popping up in my head is thoughts about Jerome. I knew that I have to see him before I can be able to sleep. I knew that without seeing him I won't be able to take him off my mind. If it was before I would have tried fighting it off, but today I don't feel the need to do so. I walked up to his room and I crept the door open. I peeked through the door and I saw he was already asleep. I couldn't help but feel the need to admire him while he was asleep. I felt him turn to another side of the bed and I shut the door immediately, not wanting him to catch me staring at him. Chapter 11, Restless Mabel. I woke up with a pang of a headache, hoping to see Jerome beside me, but I couldn't. I felt my heart ache immediately. I couldn't believe he had been gone for days now. I felt the need to hate him, but I knew that I didn't have to do that because he was responsible for that. Erica was. I felt the need to strangle her and bury her for letting me be apart from my mate. I felt the need to cry and kill him for what she had done, but I knew there was nothing I could do about it. I have been restless the past few days for Jerome, but there is nothing I can do. I have been trying to find ways to contact him, but I have found none. I tried hard and even tried telling the Alpha to contact him, but he didn't want to. I have made up my mind to keep bugging him to give in to my demands. I knew that he would have no choice but to do as I have said. I stood up from my bed and staggered into the bathroom to have my bath. I walked out of the bathroom shortly with my hair dripping with water. I made my way toward my closets, and I took out a pair of clothes, which I wore immediately after applying lotion to my body. I sighed heavily as I sat on the bed with the same headache. I knew the reason I was having the pangs of a headache, and that was because I'm worried about Jerome. I wasn't happy with the fact that he was taken away from me months before our marriage ceremony would take place. I couldn't help the sign that escaped my mind. I have missed him greatly in his absence. And then I knew that I didn't appreciate him when he was with me. I don't miss him like I do when he is in the pack. I then knew that the phrase "you don't understand someone's worth when they are with you, but only when you lose them will you know their worth" applied. Mabel, Mabel. I heard a voice jolting me out of my thoughts, and I looked up to find my best friend staring at me with wide eyes. What's the matter? I stared at her angrily, asking why she was interrupting my thoughts. I have been calling you for hours now, but you aren't answering. Wait a minute. Don't tell me you are thinking of your fiancé again, she asked, and I rolled my eyes at her. Why won't I? I have missed him dearly, and I can't believe he has been gone for days, I said, and she rolled her eyes. Do you know if he is being treated fairly over there? Do you know if he has actually forgotten about you? My best friend had asked, and I stared at her angrily with my eyes blazing anger. Don't you dare say something like that. I know what he can do. He loves me more than anything and won't try to even hurt me. He would not try such a thing, I said angrily with an animalistic growl, and she rolled her eyes at me. I just say what's on my mind. And moreover, we can't say if it's true, she said again, and I charged at her angrily for saying such. I held her throat angrily, and she glared hard at me before removing my hand from her throat. Has it gotten up to this? I'm only advising you, but it seems like you don't need me as your friend, she said, and she made her way toward the door. I sighed heavily, knowing that what I had done was right, and I knew that if it had been other people, a fight would have ensued between the two of us. I'm glad I have someone like her as my best friend because I don't know what would have happened if it were someone else. I'm glad I have someone who can remain calm even when she is angry. I'm sorry for that. It's just that I don't like the way you talk about my fiancée, I said apologetically, and she turned to face me with a quizzical look on her face. I won't try that again, but I'm only trying to look out for you. I don't want you to get hurt in the end, she said, and I smiled at her. Why don't you let us get what we intend to dog? I said, and she smiled at me. Her expression soon turned to that of a person who caught me doing something bad. Have you eaten? She asked all of a sudden, and I felt my heart stop beating instantly. I knew for a fact that I was in for lots of lecturing from her for not eating. No, I haven't, and I'm planning on doing that after we get back from the Alpha's house, I said with my head bowed, knowing that she wouldn't be happy hearing that. I will go get you something to eat, and don't you dare try to leave the room, she said, and she left the room. It was long before she appeared with a flask in her hands. Start eating right now, she said in a motherly tone, and I couldn't help but chuckle at her tone. We walked out of the house and made our way towards the Alpha's office. I knew that I had to do something to stop all this. I knew that I had to know how he had been doing. I need to know what he is doing over there. I knew that he would be hurt and that things wouldn't be as good for him as I thought. Good morning, Alpha, I said, and he sighed heavily before turning to look at me. Morning. How can I help you? He asked with a stern look on his face, and I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. But I knew things wouldn't be as smooth as I had planned. I came here because of Jerome. You are the one who approved Erica to take her to her pack, I said, and I saw a fierce look on his face. He looked like he wanted to murder me, and I couldn't help but shiver. All this while my best friend was silent, not knowing what to do. How dare you? Do you want to get killed? You dare call Alpha Erica by her name, you can get killed for what you just did, the Alpha said, and I scoffed with a look that said, what can she do? I knew I should be as afraid as others, but I feel no atom of fear in me. I don't see the need to respect the person who kidnapped my fiancé. I knew for a fact that she might not want to reject him, and that only added to my insecurities. I was able to protest what he had said, but I was cautioned by my best friend, who pinched me. I'm sorry on her behalf, my best friend started. I stared at her with shock, but she didn't give me a look at all. All she wants is to see her fiancé, and their wedding is taking place soon in the next few months. They aren't supposed to be apart from each other. She is worried about him, my best friend said again. I knew Sandra can be deceitful sometimes, but I wasn't expecting her to say such. I knew that she was only trying to make him see reasons why I needed to contact him, and I couldn't help but be happy about all this. I feel happy that I have someone who supports me, and I couldn't be more happy to have Sandra as my best friend. I knew that it was good, but what can I do or say about it? Our pack is one of the smallest in the country, and I won't want her to cause havoc because of him. I also don't want him to leave the pack, but there is nothing I can do about it. I'm helpless, the Alpha said, and I couldn't help but feel sad about all this. I can't know how hurt he would be feeling. I knew that it would hurt his ego to be controlled by someone superior. And not only that, but a girl. I can figure out what you can do. You can send a letter to him through a bird, and you will have to wait for his reply, the Alpha said, and I smiled at him. I knew that there was nothing else he could do for me other than help me with that. I knew that it wouldn't be easy to get his reply, but there is nothing I can do. I only pray that the message gets to him. I will send the letter to him through a bird. He will recognize the bird immediately, I said to the Alpha, and with that, I walked out of the Alpha's office with Sandra beside me. Chapter 12, Affections Jerome. Knowing that my mate peeked in on me while I was asleep, I couldn't help but be confused. I didn't know what to do. I felt my powers being drained from my body. I felt the need to know what she really wanted, but I knew that whatever I asked of her would make her angry. And moreover, I knew her intentions were now known to me. She wanted to accept me before, but I didn't want to accept her back because in love with someone else and am engaged to the person already. I knew I had to say I think that she is Mabel, and that was because I was out of choice. But I knew there was nothing to do or say to cover up what I did yesterday. I also don't know what prompted me to do what I did yesterday. Here I am in my room, pacing to and fro in the morning. I couldn't understand why she would come to take a peek at me even though she knew that I was going to be leaving soon. I also don't want to leave, but considering Mabel, I knew that I had to leave no matter what. I knew she would be heartbroken for not seeing me for so long, and so did I. I'm not happy that we are staying apart from each other since we are engaged. I knew that it was cruel of me to think of her, but what can I do? I know that I can never be with my mate, and I know that forcing myself on her isn't good. Moreover, I have someone and getting married too soon. I have someone that'll marry, and I knew it wouldn't be long for her to find someone else. I feel like all the things she told her parents were lies now. I feel like she only did that on purpose. She said that to make her parents stop scolding her for what she did. I have been believing that since I didn't know her reasons were different. I couldn't help but be awed at how my friend is deceitful. I knew that if she had wanted to accept me, she wouldn't have brought me here with force and wouldn't have hurt me. I felt my anger rise, and I couldn't help but vow to leave the pack soon. I felt the need to be far away from my mate. She would want to use me to get what she wants, and she would end up rejecting me at the end when people would think I was wrong. I felt my heart take as I stared out through the window. I wanted something to calm myself from all that is happening. I have a little hope inside me that she isn't lying but is telling the truth. I knew for a fact that no matter how hard I tried to believe that she wanted to accept me, seeing the ways she behaved around me, I knew she wasn't ready to accept me. I tightened my fist in anger, as I couldn't help but think of the possibilities of her wanting to accept me. Will I agree to her request? Will I let her accept me as her mate? What would become of Mabel? I couldn't help the thoughts that were popping out of my head. I knew that even if she were to accept me, there was no way I was going to accept her back. I knew what I wanted was different from what I was doing. I want her to accept me after all the things I've said about her and the fact that she doesn't want to. I knew that she would be heartbroken in the end if she accepted me because I have a fiancée already and there is no going back. I couldn't control my thoughts. I couldn't understand why I was angry with her when I was doing what she was doing. I knew that I already have a boyfriend and that he would reject me for someone else. But I don't like the thought of it. What could be wrong with me? I thought with my hands placed on my chin. You are in love with her, and the only thing you can do is tell her. My wolf said, and I rolled my eyes. I was shocked by that, but I knew that it might be true, but I don't want to believe it. I was trying to calm myself down while taking deep breaths, and I was getting calmer each second. I sighed heavily and stared deeply into the sky. I couldn't help but admire the sky. I was still staring at the sky when I felt a bird fly past me. I couldn't help but feel like I knew the bird from somewhere. I feel my heart beating rapidly. I felt my mind go to the bird that Mabel and I had. They were birds that we bought, and I couldn't help but think it was the one. I knew that there was only one way to find out if it was the one or not, and that was by calling it. I looked around but couldn't find the bird. I know that if the bird is around, then it'll be able to see the outcome of my test. But nevertheless, I'm going to do that. I put my index fingers in my mouth, and I whistled. I stared around for a while and didn't see it. I felt my heart ache while a few lone tears escaped my eyes. I cleaned my eyes immediately, not wanting anybody to see it. I have walked to the bed in my room, and I sit on it dejectedly. I could swear that the birds resembled the one Mabel and I had, but I knew that it was the same one. I knew that there was no way the bird would be the one we had because our pack is not close to the dark stream pack. I knew for a fact that the bird cannot leave its cage unless it is let out of it. I stood up from the bed and made my way toward the bathroom, but I stopped on my track after hearing the chip of a bird behind me. I couldn't believe what I heard. I heard the voice of the bird, and not only that, but I turned to look at it, and my eyes widened with shock. Don't tell me that it's the same bird that I bought. I stared at the bird with a surprised look on my face. I knew that it might be the one, but I need to confirm it again. The bird was seated on the window frame. I whistled, and the bird flew toward me instantly. I stretched out my hand. It flew onto my hands. As it flew towards me, I saw a letter attached to its legs, and I knew with no doubt that it was Mabel's handiwork. I took the bird, and I placed it on the window side after collecting the letter from its claws, which it used in holding on to the letter. I felt my eyes widen with happiness. I cowled and contained my excitement after seeing who wrote the letter. I knew it was Mabel, but I wanted to be sure, and I'm glad it's her. I was happy that she didn't forget about me. I'm glad that she still remembers me even when I'm away from her, and I felt my heart beat rapidly at the thought. I knew that since she wrote to me, she would have been worried about me. She would have been trying to find ways to come here. I couldn't help but love her more after what she just did. I haven't opened the letter to read it, but I knew that whatever was inside would be about how I'm doing and all that sort of thing. I knew that she was worried about me. I knew that I didn't want to read the letter yet, and I decided to do that after having my morning bath. I dropped the letter close to the bird. Guide and protect this letter like your life depends on it, I said to the bird, and I walked into the bathroom. I brushed my teeth, then I have my bath. I walked out of the bathroom with a towel tied around my waist. I dried my body and put on my clothes before heading toward the place where I dropped the letter with the bird watching over it. I opened the letter, and the first line I read from the letter almost made me cry. I could feel the nervousness she was feeling while writing and the worries she had about me being here. I knew that all she wanted to know was if I was being treated badly here. I knew that if I told her all that I was facing here, she might come here and cause commotion, which might end up getting her into trouble. I smiled as I read the message, and I couldn't help but feel happy about the way she cared for me. Chapter 13, Jealousy Erica. I was walking past the corridor to Jerome's room when I heard him whistle. I froze on the spot, not knowing what to do, but soon I shrugged it off my mind and I walked away. I felt my mind bugging me to check it out, but I knew it wouldn't be a good option. I knew for a fact that I couldn't let him catch me. I knew that he might have ideas that I had been peeking at, and I don't want him to think of those. I knew he might think something was weird and unusual about me peeking at him. He will feel that I'm hiding something, and I don't want him to find anything out. I knew if he found out something was wrong, he would keep trying to find out from me. I knew that he would use the opportunity to get close to me to know what was wrong, and after getting what he needed, he would leave me alone. I don't want to get attached to him. I was on my way back to my room, and I passed the same route, which was the corridor that leads to his room. There are other ways, but I felt my mind bugging me to walk past his room. I was in front of his door, and I saw the door was slightly opened. I peeked in through the open spot, and I saw him stand up. I listened carefully with my ears on high alert, wanting to know what he wanted to do or what would prompt him into doing that. I could hear the flapping of wings, and I knew with no doubt that it was that of a bird because I could hear the chippings of the bird. I heard him whistle again. So I peeked in to see what was happening, and I saw the bird fly towards him. I saw something attached to the legs of the bird, and I knew with no doubt that it was a letter. I knew the letter was from his fiancée. I felt hurt knowing this, but I knew there was nothing I could do about it. I knew that he had the right to write letters to his fiancée, and that is because I forcefully took him away from his fiancée and pack. I walked away from his room and headed to mine. I wore a long face as I headed toward my room. I entered my room, and I lay on the bed thinking about how my life is. I have been leading a life so full of roses that I hardly feel hurt. I have always thought that things would go smoothly forever with me, but I guess they don't. I knew that I'd have to face the hard truth that I could not be with my mate. I was lost in thoughts when I heard a knock on my door. I couldn't help but wonder who was at the door. I hardly have anyone to knock on my door. I knew that no one would dare do that, and the only person who could do that was Victoria. "Come in, the door is not locked," I said, and I felt the door click open. I felt that the scent of the person was different, and I couldn't help but think that the person who opened the door was Victoria. I felt that something was wrong, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was. I shrugged it off my mind, and I motioned for him to come closer. "Come on, sit on the bed. It's not like this is the first time you've entered my room. I said, and I felt the person shiver slightly, and immediately I knew it was Victoria. Victoria, come on, don't act like you. I was saying, but I heard a whiff of the person's smell, which turned out to be my friend's. I stood up abruptly, and I looked at the direction of the person, and just like I had predicted, it was my mate. I couldn't understand why he would come to my room. What do you want? I asked immediately, with a frown on my face. I couldn't believe that it was him. I had thought that it was Victoria. If I knew it was Victoria, then I wouldn't have let him in my room. Good morning. He trailed off with a widened look. Sorry, Alpha, Erica, he said, and I felt hurt. I knew that he was afraid of me, but not to this extent. I knew he hated me, but I don't. I wore a long face while staring at him. I knew that the only thing I could do to help him was to wear a long face since he didn't want anything to do with me. What do you want? I asked, not to give him a glance. I'm not happy with the way he called me, but there's nothing I can do about it. I knew that whatever I do, whatever you do, has an impact on both of us. And I have to do everything with caution. I want to borrow some ink, he said, and I knew that he wanted to write back to her. I walked up to the mini table beside my bed, and I gave him the ink. Here you go, I said after handing the ink to him. Thank you, Alpha, he said, and I rolled my eyes as he walked away. I started to feel my heart thumping heavily as I watched him walk out of my room. I knew for a fact that I'm not comfortable with him wanting to write back to her, but I have no way to stop him. I knew that if I didn't give him, then he would feel something suspicious, and I don't want him to feel anything. I walked out of my room and walked toward his room. I met the door of his room slightly open. I peeked into his room, and I saw he had a huge smile on his face. The door is more open than before, and I saw that the bird was still in its cage, which I just found. I couldn't help but wonder what he was writing in the letter. I watched him put the feather that he used in writing on the table, and he walked toward the bathroom. I could see the stains he had on his clothes. I knew that he wanted to have his bath, and I knew that this is the opportunity I have been waiting for. I crept the door open silently and made my way toward the letters that were on the table. There were two on the table, one was spread out and the other washed. I opened the first one, and it read thus: Jerome, how have you been? I hope you aren't being treated badly by your mate. I'm worried about you, and I hope you will get this message. You can't give in to your friend's decisions. She has no right to take you away from me. She is nothing but a wicked alpha. I wish I could do something about it. I love you. I scoffed with a frown on my face after I finished reading the letter. I exhaled, closed the letter back up, and placed it in its former position. I listened carefully to make sure he was still in the bathroom, and I could still hear the running water. I read the one he just wrote, but before that, I noticed that he had wasted a lot of paper to write his letter. There were many rough sheets on the floor that are yet to be thrashed. I was reading the letter when I heard the sound of the water stopping. I knew he would be out in no time, and I don't want to be caught in his room. I read through the letter quickly, and I rushed out of the room. I couldn't believe what I read. I felt my heart thumping heavily against its cage, wanting to break free. What Jerome wrote inside the letter is nothing other than a love letter. All that he mentioned was their love, explaining it in many ways. He explained it in a way that I felt like it should be me. I feel like the letter should be sent to me, his mate. I felt jealous of her. I couldn't believe that he would actually write something like that. I felt jealous and couldn't control how I felt. I felt my gaze harden while staring out of the window. My heart was in a lot of pain, and my wolf was going wild in me. I feel jealous of Mabel. I would have been happy if I were Mabel, but I'm not. I feel angry at Mabel for being the one who was enjoying all the luxuries of being with my mate. I felt jealous of her, and I hoped that the person I'd choose as my mate would be as he is. I felt angry and jealous toward Mabel even though I knew there was nothing I could do. But reading the letter he wrote made me want to reconsider my decisions. Chapter 14, Rumors. Mabel. I woke up early today with a frown etched on my face. I had a frown on my face. I had thought that the bird would return yesterday, but it didn't. The bird didn't, and what baffled me is that it should have been delivered to him by now if he was to see the bird. I knew the bird would return today since it called and find him. I called and helped but wonder where he is. What if he is in a cell or something? I felt my breath hitched as I think about it. My eyes were starting to become gloomy and I called and helped but worry about him. I had thought that I'll have a means of communication with him, but now that had changed since I can't get a reply from him. Eyes glazed over as I thought of various things that might have happened to him in the cell. I strongly believe that there is no way he would not see my letter, but considering the fact that he didn't reply, I was worried. I called and helped but tried to think of a way to go see him. I'm ready to do anything for him. I'm ready to go to any miles to find ways to contact him. I was still lost in thoughts when I heard the sound of wings flapping. I peered my eyes open and I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the bird flew into my room. I knew immediately that it was the bird that I had sent to Jerome. My eyes widened in shock and a smile formed on my face. Immediately my eyes caught sight with the letter attached to its legs. I frowned my eyes. Immediately I saw it was the same one I sent to him. I knew with no doubt that the bird returned without delivering the letter to him. I felt sad that he wasn't able to see the letter. I felt hurt that my fiancée was taken away from her. I felt the need to vent my anger on something, but before I could walk out of the room, I noticed that the letter I wrote isn't in the position it is in before. I walked up to the bird, which is now in its cage. I took the letter, which seems quite different from the one I wrote. I took the letter from the bird's claws and I opened the letter. I frowned my face with a look of disapproval on my face. The content in the letter was the same, slightly different because I could feel my hands grazing over something beneath the letter. I turned the letter to its back and there I found another letter. I was shocked to what I saw in the letter. I knew with no doubt that the letter was delivered to him successfully. I could feel a smile formed on my face and I called and helped but try hard not to blush. I was happy that he can hear me and we can now contact each other. I was glad I went to the Alpha for help. And am glad that he helped out. I read the letter and I called and helped but blush at the content. The content is mainly based on our emotions. It carries different meanings. I felt my heart beat rapidly as I read the letter. It was as if he was with me while I was reading it. I imagined him saying all this to me while I was reading the letter. I called and helped but bewildered at how he was able to convey all the meaning into the letter. I felt something cold touch my face and I used my hand to touch my face, and it turned out that I had been crying the whole time while I was busy reading the letter. I called and helped but chuckle at the end of the letter. There he stated that he had wasted a lot of paper and won't want to go ask for another, so he write it at the back of the OK. I wrote. He asked me to put at least a new paper for him to write on whenever I send letter to him. After reading the letter I felt my mind was put to rest as I called and helped but feel happy that he replied me, and most especially because he is alright and he isn't being treated badly. I called and understand why his mate would take him to her pack when she doesn't want to hurt him. I knew that if I keep on reminiscing on what to do then it'll be late for work. I knew for a fact that if I don't get up to have my bath then the Alpha would be angry with me. Sorry for the late introduction. I'm Mabel Temptress. I'm a 23 years old Omega of the Blood Moon Pack. Omegasa are the weakest of a pack and they are made to do menial works in exchange for their stay in the pack. In my pack Omegasa are much and we have routine. I'm on work with my best friend today. My parents are still alive, but they hated the fact that I was an Omega, so they cut off all ties with me, but I was not concerned. That is enough for now. As time goes on you will know more about me. I have my bath and I walked out of the bathroom with a towel tied on my waist. I dried my body with a towel. And I wore my clothes. I made my way out of my room, and as I stepped my foot out of my room I sighted Senra walking towards my room with no doubt that she is here to call me for out duty. We greeted each other and we head toward the kitchen to start our work. Mabel, what's up with you? You have been smiling since morning, Sandra said as we were cleaning the kitchen utensils. Sandra, guess what? I asked her as we walked out of the kitchen, and she looked at me with a raised eyebrow. You know I'm not that good at guessing, she replied, looking at me with curiosity written in her eyes. Fine then. Jerome had right back. He got the letter, I said, showing her the letter that he wrote. She called and helped but smile at the end of the letter. AWNN. I feel jealous of you. I'm glad he is all right. Don't you want to tell the Alpha of this? She asked, and I stared at her surprised lie. I couldn't believe what she just said. Did she think he'll show the Alpha the letter he wrote back to me? No, I can't do that. It's confidential, and the fact that I show her as my best friend doesn't mean she would want to show it to the Alpha. I can't. Do you think you'll want to show the Alpha the letter he wrote back to me? I can't do that, I said, staring at her with a frown on my face. I don't mean that you should show him the letter. I meant that you should thank him and tell him that he is right back, she said, and I sighed heavily before nodding my head. Okay, fine. We are going after we are done with our work, I said to her. Hours later, we are done with our chores and we both sat down to rest. We should go to the Alpha's office now, I said to Sandra after a while of resting, and we both stood up before heading towards the Alpha's office. We knocked on the door and we were ushered in by the Alpha. Good afternoon, Alpha, we both chorused. What do I owe your visits? He asked. I came here to thank you for your help. Jerome had replied to the letter I said. He smiled, but soon his face turned into a serious one. Lest I forget. How is he doing? The Alpha asked, and I stared straight at him in confusion. He said he is all right, that he isn't being treated badly. I said it. He stared at me with wide eyes. No, he isn't. I heard that Alpha Eric as mate was thrown into the cold room. And I guess he doesn't want to make you get worried, that's why he kept it as a secret from you. The Alpha said, and I felt my head spinning. I couldn't believe what I heard. I felt my body went numb. I can't imagine how he felt. And I can't help but curse his wicked mate. No, this can't be true. I'm heading to her pack now, I said, and I stormed out of the Alpha's office. I was running when I felt a band grab me, and I knew that it was Sandra's hand. You should calm down. You can't just go to her pack like this. You might end up getting yourself killed. The lady in picture is a psychopath. And since she doesn't matter about her mate's life, then she won't hesitate to kill you. You need to calm down. Write to him and tell him about all this. You need to know the reason why he didn't state that in the letter Sandra said, and I knew she was right. Fine then. I'll do as you say, I said through gritted teeth, and I walked towards my room to write the letter to him. Chapter 15. Anger Jerome. I had found ways to skip seeing Erica the previous day. I didn't want to see her because she had been in my room when I was washing off the ink that had stained my body. I knew that she had read the letter I wrote to Mabel, and I don't know how to face her. I knew she wouldn't be happy reading the letter, but there was nothing I could do about it. I found out late, even before she could tell if I had caught her. I knew that she wouldn't be herself if she knew I had caught her peeping on me, but that isn't my main problem. I don't know how to face my friend after she read the letter I wrote to Mabel. I knew that all the things I mentioned were based on our emotions and affections. I knew she would be hurt by that, and I don't want to do anything that can warrant getting on her nerves. I don't want to hurt her in such a way that she would get angry and throw me into the cold room again. I don't want to experience the things I felt in the cold room. One would think that I'm scared, but that isn't the whole truth. I'm scared of what Erica would do to herself, angry in what she would do to me. I knew she could be dangerous if she gets angry, but I guess there is no way I'll be able to come clean. I was walking around the pack house, trying to get familiar with the pack. I had asked her to let me, and I was glad that she did. I don't know how to make her accept letting me get a tour of the pack. I had not returned the ink that I had used in writing to Mabel because I knew I would still need it. I felt a bit familiar with the pack as I took a tour. It was as if this was my home pack. The tour made me calm, and all I could think of was the refreshing breath. As I was walking around the pack, I felt the need to rush back to my room, and that is what I did. As I walked into my room, I saw the bird that I had used to send the letter to Mabel in the cage, and I knew with no doubt that it was her handiwork. I couldn't help but think of why she had sent the bird back. I was confused, and I planned on finding out what made her send a letter to me again. I had thought that we would talk from time to time, but I know that something is wrong. I walked up to the bed, which was now in its cage. I took the letter from the bird's claws with the new paper, which I can use to write back to her. I opened the letter, and as I opened it, I knew that she rushed herself while writing the letter. I read the first sentence, and I felt my heart stop beating instantly. It read thus: "Why do you have to lie to me? Why do you pretend that you are all right and that you aren't being treated badly, whereas you are? Do you know how it hurts to know that you aren't unwilling to be truthful to me? You didn't mention of the cold room to me, did you? I would not have come over there if not for the sake that Simmer begged me. She made me understand that you might have your reasons, that whatever they are, it doesn't let you lie to me. It made me look like a fool. I won't know about it if the Alpha doesn't tell me. I was transfixed on the spot, not knowing what to do or say. I don't know what to do. I felt my body go numb. I couldn't move for a minute, and when I could move my body, all I felt was anger. My anger is directed toward Erica, and that is because she is the one who leaked it. I knew she was the one, and the only reason I think she was the one is because she read the letter I wrote. And the fact that she does things she doesn't want to do whenever she is angry made me know she was the one. I knew that there was no way I'd be able to forgive her for what she did out of jealousy. I peeked at her when I wanted to return the ink yesterday, but I stopped wanting to know I'd still need it. So I peeked into her room. I saw that she was crying while whimpering, and I knew with no doubt that it was because of the letter she read. I don't think that she would try something like this. I didn't believe this would let out the truth about me being thrown into the cold room. I knew she let it get out as a rumor. I couldn't help but think of what to do. I then knew that there was no way a man could accept her as his mate. She is nothing but a pure devil. I was glad that Sandra was able to calm Mabel, and I knew she would have been here and would have probably been killed by Erica. I knew that Erica did that since I did in the letter saying that I was thrown into the cold room. I stared at the letter in my hand with a broken heart. I don't want her to know because I don't want her to get hurt while trying to fight for me, but it seems like Erica knew more than this. She must have let the rumor spread. I knew the rumors would have started from this pack, but she let them out without doing anything about them. I knew she did that intentionally. I felt a knot tie in my stomach, and I couldn't help but brew with so much anger. I felt the need to go to her room and yell at her, but I cautioned myself. I knew that the restraints I put on myself wouldn't be enough to keep me from yelling at her. I felt the need to vent my anger on her, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make her see reasons. I'm going to show her that the world doesn't revolve only around her. I don't want her to try intimidating me with her power in the pack. I knew she had the power and authority, but she lacked the sense. If she had, then she would have known that I don't want anything to be known to Mabel. But she didn't. I walked toward her room angrily and barged into her room, not caring if she was naked or not. I don't care about anything anymore, and all I want at the moment is to vent my anger on her. I knew it'd feel better after I was done with that. I shut the door behind me after I entered the room. My eyes were blazing with anger, and I knew for sure that there was no way she was going to escape my lecture. She would know by the time I'm done with her that I'm not someone who she can mess with. She might think she's rude, but I'm more than that. I'm arrogant, as people have always called me, but I never adhered to that. But today I will. I'll show her not to mess with the wrong person. I knew what to do with her. I'll use my words to fight against her. What in hell is the meaning of this? She asked angrily as soon as she saw me enter the room without knocking. How dare you, hon? How dare you let those outside the pack know that I was thrown into the dungeon? I know your reasons for this. I know that you did this because you are jealous of Mabel. I know you read the letter we wrote to each other, but that doesn't mean you should spread the rumors. I know you did this intentionally. I know you want her to come to this pack with anger. I know you want to kill her. You want to kill her for me to be your mate. I shouted angrily. How dare you? I said you thought that doing that would make me want to have you as my mate. I can't be a mate to someone evil like you. You are nothing but the pure devil. I hate you and I'll say that again. I love Mabel, and if anything happens to her you will have yourself to be blamed, I said, and I walked out of her room, slamming the door behind me angrily. Chapter 16. Her terrified couldn't believe what was happening. My eyes were round with shock. I couldn't believe that he would yell at me someday, and I felt hurt that it was coming from my mate. I didn't see it coming, and there is no way I can avoid it now. I couldn't help but wonder who leaked that out. I knew for a fact that it wasn't me or my parents. I knew what I could do at that moment was to investigate the matter, but I'm not ready to do that. I'm hurt. And all I want right now is to vent my anger on something or someone. I won't let him say that to me again. He will pay for what he just did. And on second thought, I knew if I did anything to him, it'd be blamed. I walked out of my room angrily and toward the corridor leading to his room, wanting to face him for what he had said. But I had a change of heart. I walked away from the front of his room immediately, and I headed toward the training center. The pack members were there, and when they saw me, they started whispering among themselves. I feel myself wanting to know what they were discussing, but my emotions didn't let me listen. I knew that I shouldn't let the pack members see me when I'm angry, but I don't care anymore. All I want is to blow some steam out to quench the emotions. I feel hurt, and it was the only thing that made me more angry at him. I can't take being yelled at by someone close to me, but he was. He had ruined my day, and I'm going to make sure he pays dearly for that. There is no way he is escaping from getting punished. I'll make sure that I deal with him after all this. I'll deal with him in a way that he won't think of. I knew that if I didn't want things to be like this again, I'd have to stay far away from him. I knew that wasn't an easy task, but I'm ready to get it done. I knew that it was going to be easy if I was going to stay away from him, but I was ready to try it. I knew that if I had to get my revenge on him, I'd have to stay away from him. If I'm close to him like I am now, then I wouldn't be able to do that. I knew I had started to develop feelings for him slowly, and that's the main reason for my anger. I'm in my private training ground, where there are various types of things I can use to train with. I had always wanted to have my privacy whenever I'm angry, and that's why I did this. Nobody is entitled to enter this place because I made the order. If anyone is to enter, then the person would have to be in here with my permission, and anyone who was caught without permission would be punished severely. I was punching the bag, which was in the room, angrily. I punched the bag angrily, and soon I was clouded by my anger. I kept on punching the bag vigorously, and within minutes I was starting to feel the weight of the bag on my hands. The content in the bag is different from the one in the pack training ground, and I don't use it unless necessary. I could feel my hands hurting, but I didn't stop. I knew that with no time the wound on my hand would heal. I felt pain, anger, and hurt all of a sudden, and it made me punch the bag with all the strength I had, and it fell to the ground. I felt my body relaxing, and I knew that within minutes it'd be back to where I was before. I wouldn't feel angry, nor would I have to feel hurt like before. I knew that if I did something without a clear head, things wouldn't go as I planned. I would ruin lots of things. I knew if I were to act on the anger and all the emotions I was feeling when he was taking it out on me, I would have beaten him to a pulp before he left the room. I sat on the bench, which was in the training room. I was reminiscing on all that he said, and I couldn't help but feel hurt. I knew that I was at fault for bringing her to my pack forcefully, but then I remembered that he also yelled at me that I was jealous of Mabel. I must admit that I'm jealous of her, but why would I want to kill her when she is innocent? I couldn't bring myself to think of him catching me reading the letter they wrote to each other. I knew that it was the only thing that he could think of, and mostly because of my behavior, it made him think that I was responsible. I knew that it'd have to clear my name of all this. I knew that if I had accepted, those who wanted to have a contest because of me should have gone on with everything they had planned. All this wouldn't have happened if I didn't wait for my mate. I knew for a fact that if I had been like him, who doesn't wait for his mate, then I would have been married to one of the alphas. I knew that what I had been trying to avoid about being mated to anybody was going to happen, and there is nothing I can do about it. I knew that having something like this bother me was good, but I have to do as is required. I have to make sure that I don't have any issues with him before he leaves. All I want for him is to be happy, and I thought he would be happy with me, but I guess I'm wrong. There would be no way he would fall for me like I had. All I have to do is be cautious and don't let anything said to me get me angry. I won't want to unleash my anger on someone. My eyes were filled with hurt, knowing that it would be noticed easily by the pack members. I'll make sure that nothing happens between the two of us before he leaves for his pack. I felt hate toward the person responsible for what had happened. I knew it would be one of the pack members who leaked that out. and I knew that was the reason why he was angry. I hated to know that he thought I wanted to kill Mabel and make him mine by doing all that. I don't do things like that to get what I want. I would rather confront him about my feelings for him, but am not interested since H is already engaged to someone else. The only way that I can accept him as mine is if he can break off the engagement she had with his fiancée. I'm not interested in being the reason why they would break off their engagement, but at the same time, I would be happy if that could happen. I knew what I wished for Cal didn't happen, but I still wished for it.